Next project, Postcard, and I'm going to give you a quick example of how to do one of them, and then you're going to have to do your own. Remember, you guys have to create 10. So first thing you're going to do is get a video, any video outside of your media files folder. So I'm just going to take Bulldozer, double click on it, and there it is in my source monitor. I'm going to find a spot that I like. I'm going to go here where I can see the actual tractor, mark my endpoint by hitting I, decide where I want it to end. Right here when it hits the dirt, I'm going to get out there, and I'm going to hit O for my out point. Drag it to my timeline, and now I need to put an effect on this to have it look different. So I'm going to go to Effects. So all I do is hit these chevrons here, go to Effects, and Video Effects. And the whole point of this assignment is for you to experiment with different effects and experiment with different transitions. So let's go Video Effects, and let's try one in Distort. Let's go to Distort, for example, and inside of Distort, let's try Mirror. And I'm going to take Mirror, drag it, drop it directly on the clip. All right, now if I go to Effects Control, I have my clip selected. I got to find that effect now. Here it is here. And this particular effect requires me to adjust it for me to see the effect work. So let's go, I can change the reflection angle. And that will just kind of give me where the reflection is coming from. So now I kind of have two tractors going at each other. And let's say I like that. Okay, all right, cool. So that's one effect I got on there. And I want to put something else on there. So I have one effect there, but that's not enough. I want to do something else to it. You can combine effects. So let's go to Generate, and let's put a lens flare on top. So we're going to take the lens flare, drag it, drop it on top there. And so now I have the lens flare and I have my mirror going on. I have two different effects. I don't need to adjust it. I could adjust the lens flare if I want to, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to leave it the way it is. And I'm going to put one more effect on there. I'm going to put something that you guys are familiar with. Let's go to tint. So I'll just type in tint because I know that one. And I'll drag it and I will drop that on top of here. And right now it's black and white. I don't really want black and white, so I'm going to mess with the tint. I'm going to go inside here, and I'm going to go with a violet, like so. All right, and I'm going to keep it that way. I think I'm going to go with that. And so that's my new effect. I'm going to find a frame now in that effect that I like. I like the frame with the two tractors here, lens flare in the middle, with my and so now once I find a frame that I like, I'm going to export that frame. So here's how you export your frame. You go Export, and I'm going to go Twin. Twin will be my name for this one, and I'm going to make sure it's a JPEG format, and it's going to my Newton test folder, and you want to make sure it's importing a copy into the project. So I'm going to click OK. So Twin is my title, JPEG is my format. If it wasn't going to Newton, I would go and browse and look for Newton's folder, but it already is going there. And then I'm going to make sure that it imports a copy into the project. Click OK. And now if I go inside my project, make sure you're on project because you won't see it if I stay on effects, I won't see it. But if I scroll back to projects, then I will see it. And now I'm going to take that copy, drag it to my timeline. And now I have a copy of that image on my timeline. Next step is I have to create text that matches the image that I've just exported. And so mine is Twin is the theme I'm going with. So I'm going to go File, New, Legacy Title. And I'm going to call this one Twin. And I'm just going to design my text. So use my tab tool and type Twin. use my selection tool, make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna option drag a copy of it. So I have 2, and I'm gonna rotate this one all the way around, like so. All right. This is just my design, right? And I'm gonna take him down, change his color. I don't think the color worked for what I'm trying to do here. And I'm gonna change the color and bring him closer to the tractors as well. And I'm gonna change my color, make this one, find some kind of a color that will go with what we're going on with here. Maybe a darker, right? And then this one, I'm gonna change his color to a gray. Let's see if there's a grayish purple we can find in there. Alright, so maybe somewhere in here. Click on that. Now I'm going to put a shadow on there. Let's just put shadow. And we're going to make this shadow purple. So use my eyedrop tool and copy this right here. And I'm going to move the shadow away a little bit with the distance. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to change this one's shadow. And I'm going to use this color as that shadow. And I'm going to change the distance. Alright, and so I got kind of like offsetting colors there. Might want to use my pen tool as well. And just put me a line in between here and a anchor point here and an anchor point here, and I'm going to convert that a little bit. And that should be good. Alright, so let's say that's my design, and I'm good to go. I'm going to close that out. Obviously, it comes down back down here in my timeline. And now I can bring that onto the top of my image like so. Drag them out. And now I have my first one almost done because I have my text design on top of my image. And now all I need to do is animate both my image and animate my text. So my first is animate the background. I select my background, which is just a picture by itself. And all I want to do for the background is have it scale up a little. You decide how much, but have it move a little bit. Because if I play mine right now, you'll notice there's no movement on the background. We don't want still background that's not moving. We want our backgrounds moving a little bit. So the way I'm going to have my background move is go and set my scale starting at 100. And it's going to end at maybe like 135 or something like that. A little bit too far there. Let's go like 135. Right? And so what will happen now, I'll have very slow movement in between, just so the image is not still. And that's it. And I'm going to do the same thing for all my images. Just going to move the scale from about 100 to about 130 something, so it moves a little bit. You can do a different animation for your background if you want to, but the idea is your background can't be still. It must be moving in some way. Okay? Now my next move is to get my text animated. And so now I'm going to click on my text. And I'm going to animate the text by going here. And let's just say I want this one to spin in. So I'm going to start with the rotation. I'm going to animate the rotation. Start with it here. And by the time it gets here, I want it to spin 180 degrees. So let's go 180. Come on, there you go. And so what will happen is it'll slowly spin in. where it's upside down. One twin will take the new top position. Now, if I thought that was real slow, which I thought it was, I can bring these closer, and it'll play a little faster. And if I want to animate something else with that, I could do, for example, the opacity. So let's say I wanted to start at 100 on the opacity. Well, let's start at 0. And we're going to get 100 when it gets to 180 degrees, so to 100. And so now both my opacity and my rotation will be working together. Okay. So now I have my first one done. And now I'd have to do the same process again 10 more times with 10 different effects and so forth and so on. Keep track of your effects. So for your credits, for this particular effect for my footage, I had, if I go back to my footage here, my effects were mirror, lens flare, and tint. So in my credits, let's give you an example. For this particular one, which is called Twin, I would go File, New, Legacy Title, and I'd name this Credits. And I would get my type tool, and I would type Twin, and I would put the effects that I use, which was mirror, tint, and flare. All right, and when I create my next one, I would come back inside the same title and close this out. So here's my first one, and then let's say my next one is going to be snow. I'll double click back on this one, and I would type snow. And let's say I'm going to use a black and white. I put black and white. Don't forget to go to your roll crawl option once you entered all 10 of yours. Once you entered all 10, you can go to your roll crawl, hit roll, start off screen, end off screen, click OK. And then once you're done with all 10 of yours on the timeline laid out next to each other, so I'm going to put both these together. So I have my first title, here's my second title, and now I need to find a transition that goes in between the two. All right, so very simple, going back to effects, chevrons, effects, and instead of video effects, I'm looking for video transitions this time. I'm going to X this out. You want to make sure that you don't have this in because you might be trying to find effects and can't find them. And if you have an old title typed in here, it'll only search for things with that title. So I'm going to X that out. And I'm going to go to transitions, video transitions here at the bottom. And let's go, for example, in 3D, try the first bin. So you're going to drag your cube spin and drop it on both your titles. So this is my title section that I created. And you're going to drag it also on your video. And now that effect will be on both my title and the video, and it will transition that way. So that you will have to do for all 10 of your titles. Once you have all 10 done, you go to your credits. Make sure the credit have the name of each title and what effects you place on the video. And that is the gist of the project. Once you've done that, you can export it. Maybe you can go back to your lower thirds animation video and to show you how to export, as well as the notes that you were given on exporting. If you have any questions, you can ask me in class. Okay, good luck.